Then on Sports Central, we go over a March Madness game preview and prediction on the round of 32 matchup between the Texas Longhorns and the Penn State Nittany Lions. Huge matchup for both teams coming up here in the round of 32. You got Texas. This is a team that should be considered one of the main contenders of this tournament. This is all around a complete team that is very hot right now as they take on Penn State. Penn State's a 10 seed in this tournament, but they should not be underestimated. This team is playing their best ball of the season right now, and they could beat anybody as we look forward to the second round. So an outstanding matchup between two teams that could go very far in this tournament. We'll be over a full game preview and prediction on this match here today. Let's get started with your team trends. Texas beat number 15 Colgate in the first round, and Colgate being a 15 seed. I actually thought Colgate would have a chance to maybe make it a competitive game, and they hung in there for a while, but Texas just too good of a team, and the Longhorns won it by 20, 81-61 was the final, and Texas is 27-8 as we look forward to this matchup. They're also on a 5-game winning streak. This team has been playing really well. I mean, this team won the Big 12 tournament, beat Kansas for that title, and they're playing really well right now. And you look at them and the road ahead, I could see Texas making it a long ways, but Penn State on the other side, this team is a 10 seed, but I could see them really competing in this matchup as they just beat Texas A&M 76-59, a solid win. And I mean, we remember this team made an excellent run in the Big Ten tournament, which bought their way into this tournament. I mean, Penn State was a big bubble team before the Big Ten tournament. Then this team wins 4 games, or actually played in 4 games. They won 3 of them in the Big Ten tournament, ended up losing to Purdue in the championship game, but it was close. And yeah, Penn State, I mean, all that needs to be said is this team is playing really well right now. And for a 2 versus 10 matchup, this game is definitely going to be a close one. Games be on Saturday, March 18th in Des Moines, and the tip-off is 7:45 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going with Texas here by 5.5. So Longhorns are favored by a few points in this matchup, not too many as expected. Over-under is 137. And once again, you look at the tournament runs for both teams so far. Texas just beat Colgate by 20, and Penn State had an excellent win over Texas A&M. And you got to consider the way that they won that game too. I mean, Texas A&M is a team that was playing really well heading into that matchup. Texas A&M made a run in the SEC tournament and one of the best teams in the SEC this season, and Penn State really controlled that game from start to finish, and a really impressive win is what resulted. Stat comparison, Texas averages 78 points a game. This is a team that is elite offensively. That is something that this team is very much known for, is their elite offense. When you got Marcus Carr, who's been outstanding this season, I mean, just all around an excellent ball player. I mean, this is a dangerous team offensively. I mean, they can go on runs like it's nothing, and suddenly you're down by 10, 15 points, and it's tough to get back into it. So for Penn State defensively, got to have a strong game because Texas's offense is very brutal, and it's tough to beat. I mean, if we look at Texas, this is a team that defensively is also really strong, only allowing 67 points a game. And if you compare the BPI ranks, Texas is 5 in comparison to Penn State, who is 49th. Your notable games as well for Texas, they were 2-1 against Kansas this season, beat them for the Big 12 tournament championship, and beat them by 20 for that matter. They dominated Kansas in the Big 12 tournament title game. They split the series against Kansas State, Baylor, and Iowa State, and they were 2-1 against TCU. They did beat them in the Big 12 tournament, and that's where the third matchup came from. You look at Penn State on the other side. This team was 0-3 against Purdue, and Purdue just had a shocking loss to FDU. I mean, that just shows that Purdue is a team that just, I mean, they obviously, their past 3 tournaments have resulted in just really disappointing finishes. You look at the North Texas loss, you look at their loss last year to St. Peter's and now to 16 seed Fairleigh Dickinson. I mean, just crazy. But for Penn State, I mean, you look at this team otherwise, they were 2-0 against Indiana and Northwestern this season, also beat Illinois twice, and they split the series against Maryland. So other than their games against Purdue, this has been a really solid team this season. Your key points, Texas 27-8 overall. This team is all around an outstanding team, but you look at how this team is offensively, that's really where this team shines. And I mean, yeah, they're a brutal team offensively, and they're coming off of an impressive win over Colgate. I mentioned that. I know Colgate's a 15 seed, but I did like Colgate heading into the tournament to potentially keep it competitive, and Texas pulled away in the end with an impressive win. You look at, once again, Marcus Carr, I mean, this is a team that has experience and a tremendous talent and depth. That's why I like Texas so much. And so, yeah, consider Texas one of the main contenders. You look at the bracket in the region for the Midwest region. I mean, obviously you got Houston at the top, who is playing in the second round against Auburn here tonight. That's going to be a huge game, obviously. But Texas as a 2 seed. I mean, if you look at this region, you got Houston and Texas obviously as your favorites. But I'm interested to see if we can see a Texas-Houston matchup in the Elite Eight for a chance to go to the Final Four. I honestly might like Texas in that matchup. I mean, I like the Longhorns if they can get past Penn State here. I mean, the road looks good for them. And even for Penn State, I mean, this team, if they can win this matchup, suddenly they're a 10 seed in the Sweet 16. And Penn State, I mean, the sky's the limit, I think, for either team, for whichever team wins this matchup. So that's why it's such an important one for both teams. If you look at Penn State coming off of a huge win over Texas A&M, really looked good. And I mean, once again, you look at this team, they were a bubble team before the Big Ten tournament, and they had an excellent run in the Big Ten tournament. This team knows how to win tournament games based on the Big Ten tournament and also their excellent win over Texas A&M. So, I mean, if they can, they're going to have to play a really solid game, though. I mean, that's no secret. Texas is a 2 seed, one of the most complete teams in the country, and this offense is brutal. So for Penn State, going to have to play a really solid game, especially on defense. But when Penn State gets hot, they're a very dangerous team. They can beat anybody, and that's something you got to keep in mind. But that said, let's get the prediction here for Texas and Penn State coming up here in the round of 32. And in this one, I could see going either way, truly. I think Penn State is very much a team that could win this game, but I got to go Texas. 78-75 is my predicted final score. Texas is just playing too good right now. I mean, both teams are playing excellent ball right now, but Texas, this team just has the higher ceiling. This offense is tough to go against. Marcus Carr, really like this team all around. Got to go with Texas here. 78-75 is my predicted final score. I see this being an excellent game, though. I think Penn State hangs in there, makes this a game. We maybe see more of a higher scoring matchup here as well, so I'm taking the over for sure. I've got the over by quite a bit, actually. I've got 153 total points in this matchup. The over-under is 137. So I'm taking the over for sure. I've got Texas 55% and Penn State covering the spread in the end. But an outstanding matchup here, and definitely one to keep an eye on as we look forward to the Sweet 16, which is coming up next. But that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.